Dear friend, today we'll discuss about how to call the REST API. So REST API just we have make it the one document based on the we will show you how the REST API is calling. So just one moment. I am just close this tab and open this. I will go with the step by step. Just one moment. So let's start uh, REST API, how to call inside the React. Why I make this document? Because of it is taking so much time, so I'm reducing the time. So we prepare this kind of thing. So let's go with the step by step. Making REST API call in React typically involved in fetching data from the external sources. External sources means the third party API, then display it in with your component. And here common example by using build. Fetch API means that is the fetch data from API. This is the role of fetch. And React hook means it is a combination of useState I think you know, and useEffect. Inside the effect, we can call to the REST API. So this is the hook technique. We can tell a React hook means use to useState and useEffect. Based on this, we can call to React. So just I want to open Visual Studio. So let's. Okay, so here we have defined this constant for initializing what is user detail and set user. This is the initial stage. Constant here we can loading and set the load by useState is equal to true. These conditions we can give, and constant here we have defined the error and set error. If we have error, so we can set error. So basically we are using to useState and useEffect. So this is based on these two things we can like that call the REST API. And REST API I am just calling the dummy REST API. So this is REST API. If you can go here, this will show. Oh, sorry, just one moment. Sorry, this is not calling. I'm just. This is problem here. This problem is. Oh, sorry, no. This is 1 minute. 1 minute. This is. I'm just removing. So you see this data. ID, name, address, email, and address. This is the JSON format data, how to render it into the React. So I am just taking this part of code inside this. I will explain one by one. Once we will done here, I am just removing to these things completely here and remove that. I am just writing here import. Because of this is giving error, so that things need to be right here and remove this because of I am calling the function based component. So here I am removing to class component. Okay, that's it only. And here we can remove the one curly braces. So what is happening? Just we go with the step by step. We are using to fetch user. Fetch means this is async method. This is called to REST API. And bed fetch, and if response getting the 200, not getting 200, throw here error, new error, and constant data get the response, set user. Once response is come, so set the data here, and data once we set, so set users which comes inside the this variables can take the data. Okay, so here come the data, and if any kind of error is coming, so here we can show the error and set loading false, means loading will false. Otherwise, loading will get the loading user detail, and error, if I have any error, so we can print here. And here we return into the rendering the data into HTML format, user list, here user, because of this data type is as array. So here we can map, map are iterating, map basically used to iterating the loop, and user and li, here we can define a key, user id, and here user name and user email, that things need to be print here. So let's see the step here. I'm just not taking here. State means the meaning of state, user store the fetch data into the array. Okay, so you know the array. Second, loading. A boolean indicate whether data is currently being fetched. So we can loading arrow we can display. Error, if store any error message occurring in API, so we can store the error message. useEffect is a part of calling the hook techniques. This is a hook used to perform side effects such as a data fetching after component render. Okay. And component render means inside the component what we call in the API, and API's data's effect we can fetch through the useEffect method, and is empty depend array. So second argument ensure that fetch user function run only the one similar to component did mount class component. Did mount class component, it is a nothing but it is a part of class component which fetch user asynchronously function. This is asynchronous function handle the API call. We are using async, so it will handle the API call. If the user fetch may get request from a specified API endpoint, so await the response, await method what will do that, await the response JSON and pass JSON response. Error handling, if include any try catch block, such kind of error is come. And conditional rendering, if component render different content based on the loading and error, so provide the feedback to the user during the fetch or in case error. And display data, once data is fetched successfully, then will display data to the user. So now these all things we have right now, we have make it this user data, and if the data is having error, so we can return here, and if the data is going on the load, so load option here, why I am giving the load, because of the data fetching from the API. Once this load is finished, then we can get this kind of error message. If finding any error, so we can display here error. If we know error, so we can return the fetch data from the REST API, and it would go to the request. So here what we do that we can define a one JS. This can be as a constant, we can define and call import from the one JSS to another JSS. Here you can import and directly you call the variable name and call the API name. This is the configurable case. We can make it a configurable and call here. You can make a config.js, inside you can define this kind of. I will show that. Now I am just going to the run this part. So what happened here? Now this is the different thing. Why it is not comes? Because of we calling app component. So here we can give the app component. Okay, no problem. Now let's see. This is name. You got here the name, and this is the username and email ID. Okay, so this is the user list, and here just I am going to index dot. Here something we have written child component, so I am just removing to this. Now let's see. This can be called inside. Here we can call. This is the working loading, and here ID. If you can see here, this data is fetching. It means the data is coming. This set the data here. The data is came through the JSON. If you want like that, give the logs console. You can debug console dot logs. You print the data here. So what you get here, now you can print, you can go to inspect and go to the console. This is the array data. You getting the print. Okay, so this way you can find out the actual ID is not coming here. Why? We have not just given the ALI, and I don't want to give the ALI, and this is I want to give. I want to give the different scenario. Just I take it TD, and here I can define this control X. This is, I don't want to write here. And here I am just writing the TD. TD means table. Right here. Control X. Right here. And remove that. This way you can write here. Okay, and now this problem is also solved. If you can write here, this is TD, and you can write TD, and you can write here TD. So now you will get here, and you see now this is data is rendering. what errors you are getting. So just we know this is Lone and this is and and what exactly is going on. If you can write a br break, what will happen? Break the line. Okay, here the problem is different. This can be right here and here br break the line. Now moving to that, you can see now this is a different data. Okay, so this is the name and this is the email. If you want find out more thing, this is id name, this is the name, this is the username, this is the email, and if you want to iterate, we will write the another logic for iterating that. This is, if you just one moment, address. Address, if you want like that, this here you can write. So user dot address dot street. Street. So what you will get now? What you will get now? This is the street. This is comes now. But the problem is that we have not properly designed on this table structure. We can make it as a table, and here we can define a table. Okay, and control X. Here we can define, no,